get into your visa processing? What did you do?
Okay, so how do you get a visa as a student? Once you get your acceptance letter, then you're in full communication with the school. So the school is going to require things from you. First of all, they have to issue an I-20. You cannot get a visa unless you have an I-20. I-20 is a document basically telling the immigration people like the name of your school, like how long the program is, stuff like that, just information about you and the school.
Yeah.
So in order to be issued an I-20, you have to provide financial documents to the school that states that you can afford school here.
So hold on. So even though you got a scholarship and everything, you'd have to prove that you can afford the full tuition or just the scholarship.
Okay, so the scholarship is on the document as well. So it's the full tuition minus the scholarship. However, I did hear during that time, I heard persons say that it's best to show that you have the full tuition amount just because the US embassy, they're very strict with, stuff like that. So they're like, they have more confidence in giving a visa if you, the more money basically, the more confident they are in the visa. So I showed money for all 4 years, but you don't have to. Not all 4 years, sorry. I showed money minus the scholarship, but you don't have to. And as I said, I had in-state tuition, so that was,
Yeah.
it wasn't that hard for me to show in-state tuition because these American kids, they have it easy. They have it
Very easy. So did COVID affect your visa processing? Did it make it longer? Did you have to go through the school to make it quicker?
Okay. Yeah. Ooh, you bring up all the hot points. So after you get your I-20 then you have to go on the US immigration website and register for a DS I-90, I think it's called. And then you have to set an appointment to get your visa.
Yeah.
And I set my appointment. The closest date was like months upon months away. I don't remember the exact dates, but it was like really far because they were only accepting applications for students, like to get a visitor visa. Nobody couldn't go to the embassy to get that because of COVID. So it was a really long wait. So I remember I emailed my school and I was like, is there any way this could be expedited? They're like, we'll try. However, immigration they're a system on their own, so it's not a surety that they can do anything about it. So I went to my first visa appointment. So all right. So I did my entire first year online, right?
Yeah.
I went to a visa appointment in November. So November in the first semester. I was in my first semester. It's November was the appointment for sure, but I was supposed to start August. Yes. I was supposed to start August of the following year.
Yeah.
I remember I went to the appointment. They're like, what are you doing now with school? I was like, oh, I'm doing everything online. They're like, when do you anticipate study? I was like, August of next year. They're like, okay, cool, come back. I was like, huh? And girl, I was like, I'm back. They're like, well, you came too early. You have like a long amount of time to wait.
Yeah.
Go abroad. So, you have all the documents though. They're like, all my documents are good. The only thing is that they don't want to give me the visa so early, so come back. So I was like, okay, cool. So I hear the man now. The man says to me, you know what? When you're ready to come back, set a different appointment and call us and we'll sort out everything. You don't have to like pay again. So that's in my mind. I'm like, cool. When it comes time now to set a different appointment, I'm calling them and I tell them what the man said. They're like, who told you that? Who told you that? That's not how things work here. So I'm like, they're like, you're gonna have to redo everything and pay for everything again. I was like,
so you didn't get his name?
No, girl.
Girl, would I get? Oh, that's what's your name, sir? And then when I call, I say, Eric, tell me that I need to come. Listen, you think I can play?
Girl, I never. But you know what's funny? I was in the line, and remember I said they were only dealing with students. There's mere students in front of me. As a matter of fact, some persons from our high school was there, and I remember some people were in front of me and they were like, no. He in particular, he was like, no, come back, no, come back, no, come back. And there was a lady beside him. She was so sweet. I was praying to God that I got the lady. She was so nice. And the lady was like, yes, here, you just come back for it. You'll get it on this date. And she was so sweet. And I'm like, God, let me get her. I never get the lady. Never get the lady. Time come now, because he's turning away everybody, his line is moving quick. So, you go to anybody who's available. So the lady asking her questions and he's just denying everybody. So I go to him, I'm like shaking. But long story short, I went to him said, come back. I told my mother. My mother was like, all right, cool. When it comes to the time, we call him. Comes to the time, we call him. Them say, no, have to do over everything. So I did over everything. But of course, I knew it was a surety that I would get it. I would get it the second time around because I had to leave like within a few months after that.
Mm-hmm.
So I went back. I went back in like May.
Yeah.
And I had to leave for August.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So he was there again. Same two people. I was like, there's not nobody else I work here. Anyway, so the same two people when I went like months later. And then again, I'm like, Lord, don't let me get this man again. Don't let me get this man again. Because him deal with the people, I'm rough. So I go up to the man. I get him again. But the good thing though is that the embassy have this rule that the same person cannot review your application twice. So he looked at my visa application. He took my passport, typed in my passport number. He was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Like I reviewed you last time, so you have to go to someone else because that's their policy. Because they want a fresh view of everything from a different person's perspective." So I was like, "Cool." And I snatched my documents and I go to the lady. I said, "Hi, good morning." And she was like, "Hi, how are you?" She asked me all the necessary questions. And when I told her what I wanted to study, she's like, "Oh, that's so nice. That's so cool. I have a child studying that as well." So enthusiastic, so nice, so sweet. I was like, yes, ma'am. Tell me about your daughter. Tell me. But like, yes, just you'll get it on this date. Just pick it up at this place. I was like, okay, cool. And I walk out and I say, God is good. And I went home. I tell my mother. My mother called me. My mother's like, call me as soon as you come out. So I call her. I was like, Mommy, they turned me down again. She's like, what? After the prayer, one more prayer. I was like, I joke, Mommy, I joke. And she's like, oh, come on, after the prayer day. There's no way. There's no way.
Yeah. I understand. I'm glad everything worked out, even though there was a minor hiccup, but everything works out in the end.
It did.
Yeah.
Oh, one thing, before you move on, one thing I wanted to say is that where the I-20 is concerned, it's not only tuition that's reflected on it. It's the entire cost of attendance. So what a lot of international students don't know is that they have to pay health insurance. They have to, like health insurance, a lot of people don't know about it. Because I remember I was helping this international student some time ago. And they're like, insurance, what is that? Why do we have to pay it? They thought they just needed flat out tuition money. I was like, no, baby, there's a lot more things. You have to find your housing and food. And if you can't show where you're going to live and you can't show that you have money to feed yourself, they say, no. And they're not going to let you. They're not going to give you the visa or the I-20 for that matter. So, yeah.
Okay. So I think wow. I never knew that it was like that's in depth with how they want everything. Because when I was doing mine, they really just asked for bank statements really, and then regular medical and those stuff. The most insurance I had to pay was flight. Flight. That was the most. But when I went there, I had to pay insurance. But Ukraine is traumatic. Before the war, during the war, and after the war, they will always be traumatic. So glad we're done with them. Yeah. So let's move on into academics. So how many courses do you do per year?
All right. So one of my requirements is that I have to do a minimum of 30 credits each year in order to renew my scholarship. So I try to balance that out between the fall and spring semester. So some semesters I do 15 one time, 15 the next, or 14, 16, 16, 14, 17, 13. I just try to balance it out to make it equate to 30 depending on the subjects I am. If I have mostly science subjects in a semester, I try to minimize the load. Like if I have like 2 science courses, the rest of them will be electives. Or I will have less courses. So yeah.
Okay, so you're privy to your courses before the year starts. So you get a list of your 30 credits that you need to do before you start.
No. So
Mm-hmm.
how it works is, all right. So we have this thing where it shows up. So to get a degree, you have required courses that you have to take.
Yeah.
So each time you take one, it's off. So based on that, like comprehensive list, you can choose each semester what you want to do. However, some courses you have like they're prerequisites for you. So if you don't do one course, you can't do the next. Like for example, chemistry 1 and 2. If you do the chemistry 1, you can't do the chemistry 2. If you do the chemistry 1 and 2, you can't go into organic chemistry. So some courses are like that, and then some of them you can take it in your first year or you can take it in your last year. It don't really matter. So what I try to do is I try to do like at least 2 or 3 core courses each semester,
Yeah.
and then have electives that we can do. Just random courses that you're probably interested in. Courses like for me, because I'm a double major, I have a wider option, a wider variety of courses to choose from. So I kind of mix and match it. If I'm doing like 4 criminology courses, I do 2 science, or I try to make science because biomedical sciences are heavy. It's a very heavy course. So I try to do less biomedical courses, and do more criminology courses. And then there are harder courses in criminology too. There are harder courses in criminology. So if I'm doing hard criminology courses, I just try to balance it out. So make sure I'm not too stressed. But yeah,
Okay,
you
great.
basically.
Nice. What's your favorite course or credit that you've done or is doing? Favorite.
Okay, so you're gonna think I'm weird and I'm crazy, but there was a course called serial killers.
Okay. Don't. I'm not calling you crazy, girl. What you like is what you like.
Ooh. So we basically had to learn about all serial killers in the history of serial killing, most of them from the United States. So basically, I had to learn the history of these serial killers. I had to know their body counts. I had to know when they were arrested, what their charges were, who were affected, who were the secondary victims in their lives, apart from the victims, stuff like that. So of course I found that really interesting. And for most of my criminology courses, I have to watch crime documentaries. And you know,
Ah.
like my free time. So lots of them I already see them. So I'm like, okay, cool. I can watch this a second time. So a lot of it doesn't feel like work to me because I genuinely enjoy watching them and talking about them. So I mostly enjoy my criminology courses. So, but in terms of science, my favorite one would have to be Orgo 1. Organic chemistry is extremely hard, but Orgo 1 was interesting to me. Here's why. I had a teacher from Puerto Rico who knew what he was doing. He knew that thing like the back of his hand. And he explained, you know, those teachers who they just can explain the hardest thing in the easiest way. He was one of
Yes.
those teachers. And then my course was online too, so it wasn't that hard. But I got to do. He was really funny too, and that made his classes even better. That man racked me up. But when it came to Orgo 2, though, hate it. Would never read it again. Would never recommend 0 stars. But Orgo 1, I really loved it. So Orgo 1 would have to be my favorite course in biomedical in that
Okay.
degree. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. And I know you say you hate Orgo too. So what is the other least favorite?
I would say physics, but I never had to do no physics courses, thank God. They are there for my requirements, but CAPE Unit 1 and 2 for physics knocked those out. Thank you, Lord. So I never had to touch physics again.
Wow.
But my other least favorite, probably Bio 2, because we had to learn about plants and them something. And my motto is if plants not learn about me, why me I learn about them? You know? I'm
Ma'am.
sitting in class. I'm trying to bust my brain about how you work while you chilling outside in the sun. No. So I I really did enjoy that course.
Okay. So what major advice do you have to students who want to come to the US and study? Doesn't matter the course, doesn't matter the program. What advice do you have in general?
First and foremost, make a plan. Sit down and think about everything because you want to have everything in order when you go to those people at immigration because they're quick for turn people down for the stupidest things. So make a logical plan. Consider all your finances. If you have scholarships, say, okay, scholarships going to rub out this amount of tuition, this amount of the cost, and think logically where you're going to get the rest of that money, because that's very important. And I don't have a meal plan, but I would recommend getting one. Because I was coming to the US, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna cook all the time. I'm gonna be one of those girls, cooking Jamaican food for my roommates. I've cooked like 5 times since being here in almost a year.
I understand that.
No, it really isn't what it's cracked up to be. When I come home from class, I'm so tired. I want to sleep and eat my food, and then I have to make it. No, absolutely not. So I would say get a meal plan, because cooking isn't realistic. Cooking every day is not realistic as a student. It's not realistic at all. Or if you do cook for yourself, try to do meal planning, like cook for the week and put it down. But I can't do that. So if you can do that, that's good for you. But I'd recommend getting a meal plan otherwise, because most times I drink cereal and go to my bed because I just can't bother cooking, or sometimes I order food. But make a logical plan. Think about everything. Think about where you're gonna live. Think about the rent for the year. Don't just think about the first few months and then in the middle down the line you have to go move out to the people in place because you can't pay the rest of the rent. Think about everything. And when you have it down pat, then you step into it, because it can get really overwhelming sometimes. It can get extremely overwhelming. You're in a new place, having to do these things. And of course, you're going to have the support and help from your family. But for the most part, it's you physically there by yourself dealing with the stuff. So, yeah, I would say make a plan and execute.
Okay, nice. Good. Okay, so let's get into like culture. Do they have like something that is
All
American,
right.
or because it's such a melting pot, it's
African, it is a melting pot, but African Americans are cultured. They have their, especially Southern people, they have their fried chicken. I know it's stereotypical to say Black people love fried chicken, but genuinely in the US, African Americans, they have their fried chicken and their greens. I don't know how they make it, but their greens and their beans, and they just have all these things that some of them taste good, genuinely, and some of them not for me. But they have their mac and cheese, their greens, their grits, all of them something there. They have those stuff. They have food cultural wise. Um, Everything else though, I don't know. The music is kind of all over the place. Different genres. It's really a melting pot. The only thing I would say is cultural about them is their food, and that's for African Americans.
okay. What is so what's your best experience with food since you've been there?
Child, every day is a different storm. The food is gross. Oh my gosh, the food is.
Really?
I don't know if it's where I am because my school's in Tampa, I go to USF. I don't know if it's the foods around USF, but it's gross times 100.
So what about
And
Mexican food? Isn't that good?
all right, to get good food, you have to go to the Mexican-owned restaurants.
Yeah.
Chipotle is all right, but it's not real Mexican food. It really isn't. And Americans are raving over Chick-fil-A, like, oh my God, Chick-fil-A is so good, chicken sandwich. I eat the Chick-fil-A sandwich. Okay, move on. Next. It's not as good as they hype it up to be. The Popeyes stick chicken sandwich is also gross. Um, if you want
And
real chicken
people were
sandwich,
tussling over that?
in for a little dry chicken and 2 pickle pan bread. No. If you want a real chicken sandwich, go to KFC in Jamaica. Please get a zingo, because this little bird in bread they have over here, it's not it.
I completely understand. You see where you see in the US, it's good that you have black people around you, even though they're not
Mm-hmm.
Jamaican, but you see in Ukraine, it it weird, but sometimes you can put your little spin to it to make it taste better. But the food is weird,
I
but the
also
taste buds are different.
I heard that Ukraine have a level of racism too. Did you experience that?
Let me tell you something. It to me, how I see it, it all depends on where you're from, how they treat you. So from the get go, if they see me, they would automatically assume that I'm African. But then when I open my mouth to speak and they hear my accent, they know it's not African. And then they'd ask me where I'm from. And when I said Jamaica, change. The attitude towards me changed. I'm treated so nice.
They love Jamaica.
They love
Yeah.
Jamaicans. So have you on your visa, on your student visa,
Mhm.
are you able to work like full time, part time? Is there a certain number of hours that you get on the work on the
All right.
student visa to work per week?
Yes to all those questions. So you are allowed to work, but you cannot work off campus. You have to work on your university campus alone. During the semester, you have a max of 20 hours per week to work. So if you surpass the 20 hours, they flag you and they can take away your visa for that. So I can't go over 20 hours. However, like when we have break, like Christmas break and Thanksgiving break and summer break, you can work 40 hours. So now that I'm in the summer, I can work 40 hours. They double it up. Yeah, but I can't work off campus or anything like that. Yeah, but after you complete your degree, though, they give you 5 years on a student visa. So 4 years to complete your degree and an additional years to do internship. Some internship you get paid for it, and some of them you don't. But you can work in that sense doing internships as well.
Okay, good. And I wanted to get into internships. Is okay, I don't have you been doing any internships so far?
I haven't see my plan is to wait until I'm in my final semester to
Yeah.
do my internship because most internships are like a semester long.
Mm-hmm.
At my school you can do internships in to get credits. So just like how you would do a class to get a credit or credits, 3 credits, you can do an internship to do the same. So my plan is to do my internships like right at the end. So in case I do choose to stay there beyond the one semester, don't interfere with my studies. So I would be graduating anyways. So I would do the final semester there in case I choose to stay, go to graduation, and I come back and I stay there until I have to leave.
Okay, so
I'm
would
saving it.
you would you do your internship privately with a private forensic company or public with maybe the PD or something?
The good thing about my school, I don't know if this is the case for every school, is that they give us a lot of options. So we do have someone who's an internship coordinator, who ironically is she's teaching me a course right now called victimology, but she's an coordinator for internships and job opportunities. So every day she's posting something new. So we have a lot of different options. We can work with the police department and the precinct. We can work with the law companies. We can work with forensic companies because the major I'm doing is criminology. It's not forensic. So it's because lots of people with criminology they end up going into law and law enforcement. So she gives us a lot of options. So I look at them all the time, but of course I don't plan to do internships now. So I only look at them just to see what the options are. However, when I do get to the end of, the final semester, I really look through and apply to them and see which ones accept me and which one is most interesting. Of course, I would prefer to work at a precinct than a private company because, the public places get the most cases.
Yeah.
Ooh, rhyming for me. The public places get the most cases. Like you have to be forking out bands to hire private companies. So yeah, I would prefer to work with a police department for sure.
Okay. Nice.